Gentlemen, good evening. The regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Directors of South Metropolitan Fire District for Thursday, March 28, 2024. We're happy that you're here. Any of those that would like information about how to watch these proceedings after the event can certainly look up on our website and get that information at the beginning of the agenda. We're going to start this meeting with a call to order and the roll call, please.
Yes. Director Sailors,
Present.
Director Weber,
Present.
Director Sheets, President Gould,
Here.
Director Wood,
Present.
Director Rice,
Present.
Director Jones,
Here.
Director Costa,
Here.
Director Clark.
Present.
Thank you. All are present.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the pledge to the flag, and Director Jones, would you be so kind to lead us?
My pleasure. All rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of
the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Jones. We appreciate that, and we'd like us all to continue to remember our men and women in the armed services. Let's move on now to public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district's jurisdiction on items on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any speaker forms?
I haven't received any speaker forms.
We have any online members that would like to speak to us this evening before we get in?
There are no online attendees.
All right, let's move on. We'll entertain a motion on consent.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the consent calendar.
Thank you very much. I have a
Second.
first, and I now have a second. Are there any questions about the consent agenda? I know that we're doing a mobile integrated health. We got their biggest champion in the audience. Any questions or comments from him relative to consent? All right, with that, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes. Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Weber,
Aye.
Director Sheets,
Aye.
Director Gould,
Aye.
Director Wood,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Costa,
Aye.
Director Clark. Thank you. Motion passes. Consent calendar is adopted.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to presentation items. One of our favorite presenters, Ms. Castleberry, is with us tonight. Ms. Castleberry, take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, directors. Tonight, I am happy to provide an update on our capital improvement program as we work toward the preparation of our fiscal year 24-25 capital improvement plan. As you know, the purpose of the CIP is to organize, facilitate, and memorialize our capital needs. We do this by first identifying those needs and then planning. These needs are facilities, infrastructure, apparatus, equipment, and PPE. And then we plan for the funding of these projects to ensure that future capital needs are met in accordance with the district's strategic plan. This should look familiar to you. As you know, the CIP is one component of the strategic planning framework that this board is very familiar with. And outputs from the CIP flow into the financial management process. By identifying the capital needs and planning for the funding of these needs, the CIP integrates both the capital assets component and the financial management elements of the board's strategic plan. So we've gone over this before, but as a reminder, the development of the CIP is a collaborative effort between planning and development and finance with input from all divisions throughout the district. So projects are submitted by division managers, and those are validated and ranked into 1 year and 5 year needs. Those are reviewed by a CIP committee that looks at prioritization and ranking. It goes through an executive review, and finally a recommendation is brought to the board for approval alongside the preliminary budget process. So a quick recap of our 23-24 CIP that was approved for the current fiscal year. We had 22 total projects, including several carryover projects from previous fiscal years. And after mid-year adjustments, which I believe you approved at the last board meeting, the total CIP for 23-24 was 44.5 million. Of the 22 projects authorized, 16 are already complete or anticipating completion in the current fiscal year. And we do anticipate 7 projects carrying over into the next fiscal year, either because they are multi-year projects by their nature or because of delays in supply chain. Of the 44.5 million in total project costs, an estimated 12.1 million will have been spent by the end of the current fiscal year, and 32.3 million will be carried forward into the next fiscal year to fund the ongoing 7 projects, 2 of which are large capital projects, capital facilities projects. As you know, the CIP is made up of both a 1-year capital outlay plan as well as a 5-year projection of capital needs. And based on the information submitted this year, the projected 5-year capital need is 141.4 million. It's broken down, as you see here, 65.2 million in apparatus and equipment, 55.4 in facilities repair and replacement projects. We don't anticipate any new land acquisition projects after our current land acquisition project that's in process for the next few years. 315,000 in miscellaneous projects, 12 million in new construction projects, and 8.4 million in personal protective equipment projects. In preparation for the upcoming new fiscal year, 45 new projects were submitted, totaling 66.8 million. This included 32 apparatus and equipment replacement projects, 6 personal protective equipment and acquisition projects, 4 facilities repair and replacement projects, 1 new construction project, and 2 miscellaneous projects. A comparison here between fiscal year 23-24 and the projected 24-25. You can see that overall there were 4 less projects submitted this year as compared to last year. And there were increases in apparatus and equipment requests, as well as PPE requests and reductions in other categories or status quo. Funding has gone up significantly, the request from 53.1 million last year to 66.8 million for the coming year. Apparatus and equipment requests have almost doubled, as have PPE requests. Facilities repair and replacements have also seen a slight increase and reductions in other categories. So we'll break down the projects. Apparatus and equipment projects make up the largest portion of the requested funding at 34.7 million, or 52% of the total requested funds. Of the 34.7 million, 29.1 is requested for 18 apparatus and vehicle replacement projects, including engines, trucks, ambulances, staff and command vehicles, special ops vehicles, and support vehicles throughout the district. The remaining 5.5 million in this category is for equipment acquisition and replacement. You can see here some of the projects, 14 in total across these categories. IT equipment, air operations, EMS, suppression, hazmat, training, fleet, basically across all divisions. Facilities repair and replacement projects make up 26% of the requested funding for next year. A total of 17 million is requested for facilities repair and replacement projects, including ongoing deferred maintenance and repairs, also deferred facilities lifecycle replacements, new facilities lifecycle replacements, which are coming due in the next fiscal year, and access compliance improvements, specifically at our Hurley building. New construction projects total 12 million. We only have 1 project projected in the next 5 years. That would be Station 42 relocation to the Watt and Myrtle property. Personal protective equipment projects total 2.7 million for the coming year. This is 6 projects related to structural PPE replacement, wildland PPE replacement, outfitting our recruit academy, and acquisition of new single-layer garments. Miscellaneous projects is a small fraction this year, $315,000 for two projects in particular, firefighting foam replacement that is coming as a mandate, as well as station cellular conversion. So how do we prioritize these projects? First, we use this priority determination worksheet. It looks kind of complicated, but it's actually pretty easy. We use this to classify projects into a high, medium, and low priority. Factors that influence project priority include to what extent a project is aligned with existing master planning documents, whether or not a project addresses legal, compliance, or regulatory mandate, how a project will impact operating costs, and whether a project directly or indirectly impacts service delivery. The example you see here is for the Vineyard Springs Station. So you can see that it aligns with both the growth plan and the standards of cover. So it gets a higher number of points in the strategic alignment category. It will address compliance with response standards. So that's why that one is checked. And it will directly improve service delivery. So it gets high amount of points there. As you can see, this is a high priority project, which is why we're moving forward with it. As outlined in the CIP policy, the CIP committee reviews all projects and evaluates them in accordance with district goals and objectives. This year, we ranked projects into 10 different tiers in consideration of the following questions. Is this project required to maintain existing levels of service? Can this project be deferred? Is this project required to maintain regulatory compliance? Is this project directly tied to response? What type of response does this project primarily support? Is this project required to get us on scene? That's an apparatus question. And does this project directly impact preservation of life and property? So this is how we have prioritized projects this year with relation to these questions. It has really helped us as we've obviously have an overwhelming need to prioritize projects. So tier 1 and tier 2 projects are considered must do because they either are required to maintain regulatory compliance or they absolutely cannot be deferred. Tier 3 and 4 projects primarily support fire and EMS response and are either required to get us on scene or are directly related to preserving life and property. So this would be apparatus related to fire and EMS or tools used on scene, for example, thermal imaging cameras, things like that. Tier 5 and 6 projects are similarly essential in getting us on scene or preserving life and property. However, they primarily support other types of response. So special operations things, not fire and EMS response. Tier 7 and 8 projects are necessary for response, directly tied. However, they serve in a more supportive role on scene. These would be things like an air unit, not required to get us on scene, but serves us well when we are on scene. Tier 9, these projects are required to maintain existing levels of service. However, they're not directly tied to providing response. And finally, tier 10 projects are not required to maintain existing levels of service, but rather are new initiatives being brought forward to either address health and safety issues or perhaps growth opportunities. So next steps on the CIP, you can see here, this is sort of our annual calendar of how the process works. Continuing through April, finance will be working on a proposed financing plan for the projects. Also in April, the executive team will review all of the projects and the proposed financing plan in accordance with the preliminary budget process. It's important to note here that We do anticipate there probably being additions to the CIP in terms of projects. This year, the service delivery plan has sort of been running concurrently with this, the service delivery planning process. So there may be outcomes and recommendations from the service delivery team that will end up getting folded into this as we go along. Finally, the proposed CIP will be compiled in May based on the financing plan and the funding recommendation that has been approved by the executive team. And it will be brought back to you in June for final approval alongside the preliminary budget. That's all I have for tonight, and I'm happy to take any questions you have.
Thank you, ma'am. My colleagues, questions? Okay, I'd just like to say a couple of things, Adam, if I could. First off, if anybody outside of our organization took a look at this, they'd be blown away. This is such a strong effort on the part of you and Jeff and other members of this process, because it's just so enlightening to see the rigor that goes into deciding how we spend, the taxpayers' money. I mean, it's just so awesome. And I know you guys are doing a lot of different pieces. There's two things that I'd like to know a little bit more about. And it's okay if you say, let's do that offline later. What is the makeup of the CIP review committee? Since that's the beginning of the race that you showed. And how is that decided and how is it changed and those kind of things, so that we don't lock into one constant group. And as you all know, being in groups, sometimes there can be a very boisterous group that always gets what they want, and maybe some of the other folks don't get that. So I'd just like to know kind of how that team is put together. The other thing is, I know we're moving aggressively because I met a new employee that's part of that team. But as you go through your questions and analysis of each of these proposed projects, it'd be really awesome if we could start to look at, does the data support the project, right? It sounds good. We got a lot of traditions in this business, and those are pretty sacrosanct on occasion, but there may come a time where we've got to go, we all love it, but the data doesn't support it. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but at the end of the day, we're putting a lot of energy into getting a database that tells us how to make better decisions on things. And I'd love to hear kind of your future thoughts of how do we add an additional question, right? Of where's the data on this project? Is it strong? Those kind of things. So in a science world, we're constantly being asked to do that, right? Show us that the science tells us the same thing. So maybe that's another presentation. I see our fine gentleman standing here, and Jeff maybe want to chime in, but I think with data, when people look inside our bubble called Metro Fire, and they look at our CIP program, if we then start to really strengthen those decisions based on this wonderful data that you all are building, I think that'll be that next level of security for our constituents. So
Sure.
with that, Aaron,
I
it looks
can-
like,
Yeah, I
go
can
ahead.
answer both of those questions, and Jeff can add on if you'd like. So with regard to the CIP committee, that's actually defined in our capital improvement program policy.
okay,
So the CIP committee is made up of members of planning and development, finance, and procurement. So the role of the CIP committee really is to ensure that the forms have been filled out correctly, that justifications are in there, that validate that the costs are correct, validate that the prioritization that has been completed by division managers. So the division managers are actually the ones that go through that worksheet, and they self-prioritize their projects that they're proposing. We validate that, so we double check it, make sure that it does align and confirm prioritization. And then we also look at how far a project is in its planning process, whether it's ready to execute, whether we have the staffing capabilities to execute it, what the timelines are associated with that, any procurement timelines, things like that. That all goes into the ranking process prior to those questions getting answered. So that is part of that. With regard to database decisions, aligning them with strategic initiatives, which is on the form there, is the way that we make sure that the data supports the projects. So The strategic planning documents include apparatus and equipment replacement schedules, which are based on estimated life cycles, mileage, and industry standard for when things need to be replaced. They're also based on, for example, PPE, have certain lives and recommendations. So all of that goes into those projects. The facility condition assessment, which was completed a few years back, gave us a huge catalog of needs that existed. We've been chipping away at those little by little, but that is based on that outside third-party review of our facilities. And then, of course, the growth plan, which was rolled into the standards of cover. Those projects that are listed as being tied to those are shown in the standards of cover. So they're backed up by data from the standards of cover. So we are definitely making sure that projects proposed are meeting data-driven strategic initiatives.
I just want to add what I think the very big picture here is we now have all the pieces. We've been working, at least I've been working for the last 8 years to get all these pieces in place to then look at them collectively and figure what next is. We're finally in a position when you talk about a new hire to be able to combine all these, have those data points and come up with all these pieces, how it gets to better decision-making. We are now getting in meetings talking about the best of the best and how people do what with what information. And we now see a path forward of how it's going to work at Metro Fire. So I will tell you, none of this is perfect. We are figuring out as we go. It's the baby steps to large agency. But you can see here, we added the 10-tier system to start to address issues in the CIP process. We're going to continue to do that with all of these big pieces. We're going to continue to integrate the data decision-making matrix. And I think we can see a 3 or 5 year path to having this all cohesive into one path forward.
I agree. Well, Jeff, and everybody that's involved in this CIP process, I just have to give you massive shout outs because like you've said, it's been 8, 9, 10 years that you've been looking down the road enough to where really for us as electeds, I think this is such a awesome experience that we can really look at our constituents and say, this just isn't, fly by night decision making, that there are so many steps to this that you can rest assured that we don't get to spending your money before a lot of thought, a lot of data has gone into that. And that's such a really awesome thing where I know other special districts and other organizations that are governmental can't stand behind the work that you all are doing and making it easier on all of us. So I just want to give you guys special attention tonight because when I saw this, I knew there was going to be additional information that came that just shows how much work you guys are putting in to ensure that we're protecting the funds that folks give us. And that's an awesome thing because that hasn't always been the history of special districts, right? And so kudos to all of you, every single individual that's involved in it, because it's just incredible how powerful and wonderful you guys have done this. So thank you very much for all your work. I appreciate it. Any other questions as they walk off? Okay. With that, thanks. Thank you very much. So now we'll move on to action items. Folks, the action item that's listed will not be discussed at this point. It'll be done in closed session. So we're going to move right on to President's report. That really is just to let you know that this evening, the executive committee got together and we voluntold my colleague, Mr. Clark, that he would be filling a vacancy on the policy committee. And now I was just going to say, my colleague Costa is happy that he's got a full committee that will work on some very important policies that I know are coming down the road. So thank you for that. Fire Chief, your report's up next.
Great, thank you. And good evening, President Gould, directors, colleagues, member of the public. We'll continue the data conversation. I'm proud to introduce a new member, and that is Candace McGowan, and she is Operation Data Analyst. And Candace, if you could come up and introduce yourself, that would be great. So welcome to our agency and thank you.
Hi, as Chief House said, my name is Candace McCown. I'm the new Operations Data Analyst. At the end of my second week. And so just getting my feet wet, getting to know everybody, trying to learn the fire service, which is a departure from where I came from, which was the energy industry, most recently from SMUD, doing data management with their billing and demography data for various different departments, market research, research and development, load research and forecasting, and some analysis to aid in the forecast production. And California ISO as well before SMUD. So lots of energy industry experience. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Candace, and welcome. Another exciting thing is the promotion to captain, and I have two of those promotions effective April 1st. That was for Chris Gregory and Tyler Oshiro. They're both captains now and excited to be in that position. We look forward to what their good leadership is going to be like. And then lastly, last week I was able to attend the Fresno Training Symposium. Fresno Training Symposium is hosted by the Cal Chiefs Training Officers. It's an annual conference that emphasizes training excellence, firefighter safety, and shaping tomorrow's fire service today. Director Rice, or CPF President Rice, allowed me to speak on behalf or with CPF, the Fire Foundation, the Firefighter Memorial expansion. I was humbled by the opportunity to speak to about 400 people at lunch that got to hear about, but also view the expansion project that was going on. The groundbreaking ceremony was going on the same time that we were down at that conference. So thank you for allowing Metro to represent CPF and myself. I thank you a lot for allowing me to do that. So it was received exceptionally well. And I introduced it with, I hope that this isn't the first time all of you are seeing this, but I knew the answer. And so thank you for allowing that. I'm also happy to announce during that conference, we had the largest support of our members representing Fresno Symposium and training. We had 17 instructors down there in disciplines such as search, live fire training, engineer cadre training for the entire week, command doctrine training, and training officer training for the week itself. We had Chief Joe Farica. He's no stranger to the symposium. I think this is what, your 20th year teaching down there? Still teaching truck operations. Chief Matt Cole, Assistant Fleet Manager Steve Davison, Captain J.D. Flint, Captain Jeff Malinowski, Captain Mark Gusinoff, Engineer Iliak Shakir, Engineer Tom Chin, Engineer Bill Hoseman, Engineer Mario Martinez, Firefighter Jason Watts, Firefighter Tyler Kraft, Firefighter John Lowe, Firefighter Kevin Stewart, Firefighter Lorenzo Wood, and Chief Mitchell and I also taught. It was a proud moment, and I've been blessed to say that the entire week I was pinged by multiple agencies, called during the latter part of the week from fire chiefs asking if we can get our instructors to their organizations, bring our engineer week-long academy to them. I'm looking at a way to write an MOU and an agreement for alternative funding. You know, that's a priority of mine. So we'll see what we can do in that. In addition, we had 12 members that attended the conference. So a very good representation, largest that we've had at Fresno from the training side, and it represented our agency well. So a very proud moment for all of us. I was extremely proud to wear our patch down there like always, but the feedback has been exceptional. And that's the end of my report unless you have any questions.
Questions for the chief on that stellar report? Excellent. Thank you very much, Chief. Let's move on to ops report.
President Gould, board members, Chief House and staff. Tonight I've got Chief Gonzalez and Captain Katsuyoshi and his crew from Engine 24. They're going to come up and talk about a trip to Seattle they went to for a fundraising event there. So please come on up.
Okay, don't fight over it.
Good evening, Chief House, Board of Directors, guests. I'm here with my crew, Engine 24 A shift. I got Engineer Jordan Majestic here and one of our newest firefighters, probationary firefighter Wesley Foster, to join me. Just going to talk about an event that we participated as an agency in Seattle. It happened on Sunday, March 10th. Basically what it was the 33rd year of the Firefighter Stair Climb, which is run by and helps support the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. They've raised, I think, well over $30 million over that time. This is the first year that Metro Fire has had a team. Registration started back in September. We started out with 58 registrants. By the time the event started, we were down to 36. So quite a large following that we were able to take up there. Basically what it is, it's the second tallest building west of the Mississippi. It's the Columbia Center. It's 73, 74 stories tall. To put that in perspective, the tallest building we have in Sacramento, I believe, is 23, 24 stories. So about 3 times our tallest building here in Sacramento. Basically, each climber is supposed to raise $300 as a minimum in fundraising. Our team of 36 climbers in a short amount of time raised almost $24,000. This year's event, they're still adding it, but it's well over $2.1 million that was raised this year alone for obviously a really good cause. Basically, we all were full turnouts, structured boots, helmet. We had an air pack on, and the entire event has to be completed on air. So you just go up one at a time. You start at I believe the 4th floor and you go all the way up to 73. Some people do it as fast as just over 10 minutes. Our fastest climber, I believe, was just under 14 minutes. So people are flying up there. Personally, it took me 23 minutes, but we had several people that were 13, 14, 15 minutes. Yeah, on air the whole time. It's just one ascent. You don't have to go up multiple times, but you're basically with 2,000 participants from around North America, including Canada. It's just a great opportunity to be around so many folks that, are working out hard for a good cause, and just meet some old friends, make some new ones. Chief Rice made a guest appearance up there as well and kind of rooted on the troops prior to our climb. So that was really nice that he was able to stop by.
Do you know what his time was?
Carried my card.
He was in the elevator, wasn't he?
Just like Chief House said at Fresno, obviously he's very proud to wear the patch and the badge, and it's kind of helped leading this event. It was just a huge honor to watch so many family, friends come up and support, spouses, children, and then just watch this team of 36 climbers just bond and just do something hard. Obviously, cancer is a big topic in the fire service right now. And we also have several members active and retired that are struggling or have since passed. So it wasn't the plan, but it definitely had a lot of meaning as the months closed in on this climb. So very honored to have been a part of this, and we're definitely looking forward to next year. Any questions?
Okay.
So how do you prepare for this thing? Because I know the stair climb is really the roughest thing is a gym for as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Is it real work?
it's tough. So we don't have a lot of high rises that compared to that building. But we have a few stair climbers in the district, so those were being used. People are going to parking garages, bleachers, just doing some sort of workout in the station. So yeah, there's some people that have been training for 4 months, and there's others that just started training a month ago.
Stair climb isn't easy, I know that.
That's
Any other questions for the captain? Did we get a video of this whole experience? Is there something in the media that we can tap into?
If you go to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society for the Seattle Stair Climb, there are some social media posts that are on there, either on Instagram or Facebook. You can see some of the things that were going on. I know Chief Wilborn had posted a small snippet of photos from the event and a little write-up about it on social media as well.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great to be on our own website at Metro Fire, right? And get that. Do you send it to MySpace or AOL? Any of that? What? I'm just checking. Any questions for the good captain? And I want to tell the chiefs, excellent job.
Yeah.
You really rocked it. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Chief. Any other ops reports, chief?
That's the end of the report.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
You did a stellar job. Let's move on to administrative reports. Chief Bailey.
We have no report this
Well,
evening and no report for support services either.
Thanks, Chief Bailey.
I'm sorry. You told me.
Let's move on to support services. We have no report apparently, right? Marnie? No, oh, let's move on then. Firefighters Local 522. That's our next report. Captain Scholar, it's here. Show us a picture.
Pictures. I did show you pictures and
Show
one.
the audience. No,
one
keep
did-
going.
One did get sent out via email from a good friend of mine.
For the several thousand people that are watching on our channel,
All right.
this young man
You can
is to be
see, so-
congratulated because his wife had a baby.
Yeah, we have a new addition to our family, a new little baby girl. As you can see, my oldest son here is not excited to the new addition.
Well, and you can see, thank heavens, she takes after her mother.
Yes, yes,
Most
yes.
important.
We're very thankful for that.
You're very-
Yes, so.
All right.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much. My name is Sean Scollard, Vice President of Local 522, representing Metro Fire. In addition to my report this evening, I would like to take a lead from Chief House and introduce some of the folks that work alongside me and take care of a lot of the day-to-day business that has to do with union and the membership. And this evening, I'd like to introduce Captain Brett Randall, who is newly elected Deputy Director of Local 522.
Hello. Just want to say thank you. I've been up here before filling in, doing reports, but just recently elected as the deputy director. I'll be helping Sean a lot, be by his side, and then working with Pete and with HR and admin. And yeah, excited to be part of the team and work with you guys and the chief and help the membership. And yeah, just excited to be here. So thank you guys, and just want to introduce myself. And I'm a 29C shift is where I'm at. Yeah. I was hired in 2012 and promoted a couple years ago. So
Congratulations.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
As Brett gets a little bit more comfortable, he'll start talking about some of the things that he's involved in. So he's taken over as the chair of the Wellness Committee on Local 522. I know Director Votavas spoke on behalf of some of the great things that we're doing collaboratively with the fire chief and this organization with the PPGMT money that we secured in contract negotiations. And so there was the trip to Phoenix, which I know got reported out, and we have some additional trips that are scheduled, and we look forward to those. So we're going to be visiting Colorado, 2 agencies in Colorado, and looking at the way that they do business. That's coming up next month on the 15th. Which will be fantastic. We're also going to try and because of Brett's work, and he's being humble or shy right now, but because of some of the thought process that he's put into this, we're going to be down at CPF convention in May. And Brett thought about, well, San Diego has a great program that's tied to UC San Diego down there. So we're already going to be down there. Why don't we try and visit San Diego and see what they do, as many places as we can to figure out the best way of doing practice that can make this organization better. Why don't we do that? So that's going to be the plan, to visit San Diego. And I mean, I don't think there's any stopping us. We'll visit as many places as we need to do to make sure we come up with the best plan that's going to fit this organization's needs. So I look forward to working with Brett and the rest of our team. Some of the other topics that I just wanted to touch on this evening was deployment. So as you all are aware, some of you I've spoke to recently on this, and others that I haven't touched base on, we've been able to meet and agree with the district and come up with, the next phase of our deployment plan. And so we've agreed on a May 13th transition of 2 additional suppression medics and implementing an additional squad, which we're looking forward to. I think this is something that the membership's been looking for a long time. And I'm glad that we got creative and collaborated to come up with a path to see this come to fruition. So I'm excited what next looks for. When we're looking at data, the last week, it's been super busy, and I've probably had a lot of conversations that I've drove based on data. And just one thing that I would like to keep in mind, that as much as data should be a driving force in some of the decisions that we make at this organization, it can't be the sole decision. There's some things that data just can't quantify. And I know the unit reliability is looked at a lot with some of our units and some of the busiest units. And they say that that their unit reliability is there despite running over 5,000 calls a year, that the unit reliability is there. I don't think that that should be overlooked because what the data doesn't capture is the mental toll and wear and tear that puts on those members. So if we look at Station 53, for example, I think it was running over 3,000 calls a year when I first got hired. It jumped up to 4,000 pretty quick. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's over 5,000 calls a year. So that's a significant amount of calls despite their unit availability being there. That's a lot. And data just doesn't capture that. You know, there was a behavioral health convention, I think back in 2013 that I attended, and Dr. Dietz talked about just the mere trigger of the tones going off dumps a cortisol response in your body that takes about 15 minutes of vigorous activity in order to properly release the cortisol, which we've seen has been tied to presumptive issues in the fire service. And so just that increase of calls, you can see in a short tenure of 2,000 additional calls time, even if they're cancels. I mean, it still gives you that cortisol dump in the body that, if not properly released, creates those free radicals and can cause, lasting effects on our members. So those are things that I just hope that we take into consideration when we're making these determinations. And data is important, but it's not everything. So I know there's probably a very labor perspective on things, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here to represent the men and women and talk about the things that that we think about. In regards to that, I just want to say I appreciate the report from Aaron Castleberry and the CIP. I think it's extremely important. I know all of you have got to see the way that we took an approach at last negotiations. And as long as I'm in this position, I'm never going to be the one that's going to try and bankrupt the district. This place means too much to me, and I know the membership does as well. And that's not something that we're going to do. We're going to come in with something that's fair and equitable, and we're going to leave opportunities for the district to do the right thing and improve the working conditions of our members as well. Not just increase the pay for us. I think what we're doing right now is fair and equitable, but this comes into trust. And, leaving money on the table. There's some trust factors that we have to have built in with the organization, and seeing the plan for improvements on stations and apparatus and things like that. I think the district's holding true to the trust that we had in them during this negotiation to do the right things with the money and put the money that was left over back into infrastructure to assist us in performing the services that we're supposed to do to our community. So I thank all of you, all the executive staff that had a part in that plan, and I look forward to seeing what comes with that. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And I'm going to share this with you, not to throw stones, because I don't think there's anybody in this room that doesn't say what they believe. But new information comes up, and it's one of those things that, how do we address a problem if we don't know the problem exists? And so we'll just touch on the work comp, and it's really just to leave you with some thoughts. I talked to Ashley Benalicia recently, and she's kind of on a roller coaster of emotions. I think every one of you are true to your word and saying that we're doing everything that we can for them. And I believe that because you are. And Chief House, I believe everything that you've said is 100% true, that we are doing everything we can for them. But there's some parts of the process that we just don't know. And as the layers get peeled back and we see that there's hurdles in that process, I think it's important for us to try and get involved to make that better. Because as much as we think we're doing the right thing, if there's a negative impact or somebody else isn't feeling the positive energy or efforts that we're trying to display, then there's areas that we need to improve on, both sides. I'm trying to do everything that I'm doing on the labor side. All of us are. And yet we're still not seeing the impact or the results of our efforts. And I think we need to dive deeper into the situation and figure out how we can truly make it better or impactful on the people that we're trying to touch. So other than that, I will say that I am contained unless there is questions, comments, concerns, which there may be.
There's always concerns with you. Let's go to Brother Ross. Go.
that.
Vice President Captain Scollard, I appreciate everything that you just had to say on the workers' comp arena. I'm going to apologize to my fellow director, Bob Weber, President Gould, and Chief House. I am not the person to sit on this ad hoc committee, and I will tell you why. We went and we had our meeting today, and I thought it would be good, and Director Weber opened it. And it was the pleasantries and the niceties. I walked out on it. Let's make no bones on it, because my time is more valuable. And what I watched was an absolute failure to even take an opportunity to exchange ideas, thoughts, and learn about the other. And how that developed was Vice President Schollard asked about having a labor work comp attorney in the room along with the fire district's work comp attorney so that we can talk to both. And he was met rapidly with staff saying no and gave a pretty strong opinion on that. I kept my mouth shut and I listened some more until the third-party administrator began to speak. And the thing that caught me was, you don't need to get down in the weeds. We need to tell you what you need to know. And as soon as you tell me that, I'm out. And I will tell you, Chief House, you got a problem. Because not everybody here necessarily has your philosophy or President Gould's philosophy on how we work and how we deal with the men and women of this organization. I'm not even mad. I'm too old. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to listen, but what I won't do is put up with bullshit. And that's what this was today, 100%. And I'm sorry for you, Sean, that you came in and were willing to put it on the line and have a free flow of ideas, and you were shot down immediately. And so what I will tell you is that while I won't be a part of this workers' comp ad hoc committee, I will do my job from this seat. And put your seatbelt on, because I will advocate for the members of this fire department when they're injured or sick, whether you think I'm right or wrong, or whether you think that I'm too strong or too soft. If we as an organization think we're doing well, Anthony Benalicia's wife had to go to, this is what pisses me off, an agreed upon QME meeting. What was the meeting 2 hours before his memorial service?
Correct.
If you think we're doing well, I don't want to be a part of this. But what I will do is I will fight like hell from this seat. I don't care if that's agreed upon or not. There's no words for that. We put that young woman to go to a business day to advocate for her husband while he was being buried. I don't care if it was mutually agreed upon. It's disgusting. And it's disgusting too that we're fighting over this young man's benefits. We hired him. We knew the score when we brought him in. And I am sick of hearing about attorneys, and I'm sick of hearing about the gift of public funds. This fire department needs to tonight do the right thing and benefit this young man and his family as if they were Metro Fire firefighters, because goddamn it, he was. And I'm tired. And I will fight. I don't have to be a part of any committee. I will fight from this seat. And things better start to change. And I'll tell you that right now, Chief. They better start to change, because whatever philosophy you have, it's not getting down to all the layers. And if I'll tell you what, I don't have the authority to do what I would like to do, and I don't want it. That was for a different age and a different time. But if I had it, this shit would not go on after today. I'm tired. This needs to change, and lip service needs to stop. And that's for everybody here. If we didn't know, we have an obligation to have known. And I chastise myself. I was here when this young man died. I was here through his tenure of service, but we hired him. And if he went to one fire with this fire department, then we should benefit him in honor as a Metro Fire firefighter. I don't give a damn what Arcata Fire Department did or anybody else. We're Metro Fire. We take care of our people, period. And I'm not happy, and I'll leave it at that. And I'm not happy about the attitude. And when our men and women go out the door, and if they're expected to give 100% every time, for whatever it is they do, and they can't make a mistake and they can't miss. But when our men and women call 911 because they're sick or they're injured, we're not meeting the mark. The very thing that we demand that they deliver to the public, we don't give to them. And I'm part of that, and it makes me sick, and it needs to stop. So that's what I have to say. And I know I'm out of order, but I'll make the damn motion to benefit Anthony Benalicia and his family for the full scale of Metro Fire as a Metro firefighter and a disability retirement as such. And I'll put that out there as a motion. If I'm wrong,
Well, I think we have to agendize it, and there's a lot of other things that we have to do, but I get your sense, Brian, of the passion that you bring to that issue.
it's not right. Everybody is sold out firefighters. NFPA, we have turnouts with PFAS in them. That's carcinogenic. The manufacturers have it. It's bullshit. We need to have these guys' backs, and we don't. And we need to do it. We can do it. So I'm hot.
Okay. Captain Scholar, anything else you want to bring, and
Anything that you guys have for me?
anything else? All right, let's move this along with those comments. Brian, thank you for that. Let's move it along to committee and delegate reports. I jumped the gun in my report as president, identifying the change that we made at the executive level. So I apologize for that. We'll just move right on to AC Green and your report on the comm center.
Thank you, President Gould. Good evening, directors, Chief House, everybody else. Chris Green, Assistant Chief in the Operations Branch. And I am your board member for the Communications Center, JPA. I have not been here the last couple of meetings for a report, but rest assured, staff over there has been very busy with some large infrastructure projects going on this year that I want to share with you. But seeing that I think the theme tonight is partially data, I want to share with you a number that I don't think we discuss often enough in the fire service. We are fascinated with call volume. Who runs the busiest, who has the busiest station, the busiest engine, the busiest medic, the most fires, and so forth. One of the facts out of 2023's call volume last year at the comm center was they answered their phones 450,000 times. They received 450,000 telephone calls into the comm center. I'm not a math major, but that's about 1,200 a day. Give or take, yes. So I want us to just think about the big picture of what our staff is doing over there, because they've hit some monumental marks as well. The operations manager, Julie Todd, hit 21 years of service this past month. And talking to her, saying what was the answering the call volume when she started, said we didn't count. But they answered more calls last year than the year prior and the year prior and the year prior. So what I'm getting at is just like our agency, in terms of our infrastructure that's being addressed through the CIP and so forth, there are some infrastructure challenges within the communications center. So the first thing that's going on this year is a fencing project around their building, encasing their parking lot. It's for the safety of everyone that works there and the visitors as well. So that is a huge piece of infrastructure that's moving on. Number two is a complete bathroom remodel. I would say that the general synopsis of that is exactly what we have done here within this organization to address today's standards of equality for restrooms. And then number three is if you're going to answer 450,000 calls a year, we don't have room on the dispatch floor. So they're doing a remodel of an area they call the bullpen. It's about the size of this area over here, where they're adding workstations for high call volume days. So it's very safe to say that if you haven't been over to fire dispatch recently, we'd love to have you over anytime, really to see how they're catching up on modern day standards, have a sit along, listen to some calls come in. But I'm very proud of being a representative of Metro Fire of what they're accomplishing over there. And just out of curiosity, if anyone's curious, how many calls were dispatched out of those 450,000 calls? They dispatched to about 250,000 in the county. And that hits all of our men and women on the streets. Lastly, the last thing that was accomplished was a renewal of the board up contracts. They have additional, we have a total of 5 board up companies that'll be working on a rotational basis through 2027 under this current contract. So that's the news. That's the extent of the data that I can bring to you. If you have any questions, let me know.
All right, thank you, Chief Green. Any questions for Chief Green on that information? Chief Green, I would ask that instead of having us go over to the comm center and disrupt the 1,200 calls a day that they're taking, roughly, is there a way that you and your team could put together a short presentation identifying all those different elements and bring it to this dais and share with us what's going on over there? Short videos, whatever you come up with.
Absolutely.
Because I think that may be an easier way to not disrupt the facility that's that busy, but I'm fascinated by that part of our business. And as we heard in the CIP, if it has to do with getting to the scene sooner, it's prioritized very high. And I think at the comm center, that's where it all starts, where we're made aware of that need. And so I would love to have you lead something where you come and make a presentation to us relative to the business of the comm center and our role in it, because it's incredible that our business, our work starts after they get their information and get us moving. So would that be okay for you? And I have no timeline. I just would love to see.
We'd
a
be
little
more
bit
than
more.
happy to do that. I will make a phone call to the comm center
Okay,
and
we'll see if they can carve out a couple of minutes.
get the ball rolling. No,
Yeah.
we've been more than happy to, and we'll get some representatives from out there as well, so you can meet them.
So I know for
Great
me,
idea.
I haven't been there in a long time and I'm sure it's radically different
Yeah.
than it's been. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yes,
I have something.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
Clark?
last time I went over there, I mean, it was mind boggling, just observing and because they let you observe and, put the headphones on. It's mind boggling how they can be compressed when they go home because it's just like constantly. And those people are very talented. They have a talent for, answering questions and this, managing it. It was really, I was impressed with, their ability to handle all those calls. And
Thank you. It's utterly incredible what they accomplished,
Oh
and
my
they're a
gosh.
part of the chain of saving lives. They
Yeah.
absolutely are.
yeah, they're very, very professional.
And I know you're proud to represent Metro Fire in your role currently. We're equally proud of you to represent us over there because I know you do a good job of managing a fairly chaotic, place at times. So thank you very much for all that effort, Chief. Very much appreciate it. Other comments? Let's move on then to Director Jones and your Finance and Audit Committee.
Thank you, President Gould. The Finance and Audit Committee did not meet tonight, and our next scheduled meeting is April 5th, 5:30 in these quarters. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Jones. Director Costa, you and your Policy Committee? Oh, no, we're good. Right?
That's what it says, April 25th.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah, the next meeting is the 25th.
The
Yeah, that's-
25th is when you're,
that's what I thought.
okay, they're just calling out on the 25th to be in your next. It's not gonna happen. All right, Director Costa, Policy.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. While the policy committee has not met, I did get a chance to meet with Melissa and Leslie earlier this week, just to kind of forecast what's upcoming for the committee, make sure we're prepared. So there's a lot coming forward. And so I would like to thank the executive committee for helping us find another board member to help us on those discussions. And I'm looking forward to Director Clark's history and expertise on those. And
We're excited for you.
our next meeting is April 11th. You're excited? Good, good.
Yep, that's a great announcement. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we're going to go into closed session after board members and questions and comments. We've got a couple of items that need to be addressed in closed session. So I'll start to my right, Director Sailors.
I have no comments tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Director Weber.
Yes, just a couple items. I was fortunate to attend a couple of events recently. One is the retiree dinner. So first and foremost, congratulations to all of those retirees. I think we had somewhere around 87 was the number total. We recognized, not sure, 20, 30 of them, but that was very nice, very well received. Secondly, we attended a station dedication today for Evan Prince and Dean Baker at Station 62. That was enormously received by roughly 80 folks. So that was a great thing to see. I know the family was deeply moved. Both families were deeply moved by not only the attendance, but the thought behind Metro Fire acknowledging their service. So that was it. And it was a great events, both of them.
Thank you very much, Director Weber. Director Clark.
I just want to thank everyone for their presentation and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Director Costa?
Thank you. So just a couple things. One, I want to thank staff for their presentation on the CIP. And I'm hoping that, you know, not only is it showcasing the work we have coming, but it does show a gap. And so hopefully we're taking that information, and as we do our 2x2s and work with our partners here locally, we're highlighting the needs, and maybe there's an opportunity there as we have those conversations. And then I just want to say to Captain Scarlett, I didn't get a chance to ask, and so I'll do it now, but you mentioned a couple things, one on data, and it not necessarily addressed now, but I do think it's an opportunity for us. So if there is data or things that we can't quantify with that data, I think hopefully you're providing that to staff and then maybe to the board so we can at least have a full picture as we analyze. And then on the other piece, while I wasn't in the conversation today, it sounds like you had some ideas, and hopefully you're providing those ideas. And if we didn't get a chance to capture them in the committee meeting, maybe there's an opportunity outside of that. So I just wanted to capture those two. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Jones?
Thank you. A lot of very big and important items have already been discussed tonight. And I wanted to add one small one, but it's a very important one. It's a big thank you, a shout out to our Community Risk Reduction Division, to Jenna Kendrick, as well as Supervising Inspector Diane Schmidt. There was a citizen who came to me with big concerns about ongoing fires in our district. And at 4:30 on a Friday afternoon, those two employees of Metro Fire, those two family members of Metro Fire, attended to this concerned citizens' questions and research efforts for reports. So again, a small little clog, but a very, very important clog. 4:30 Friday afternoon, and those two folks took care of a citizen. So thank you.
Thank you. Director Rice? Okay, let's go over to Director Sheets. It's making it head dizzy. Director Wood?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just will echo what's already been said, and I want to follow up on Director Weber and thank Chief, thank 522 and others who had a hand in the station dedication today. It was a very appropriate, very solemn, very well-attended and respectful message to those families, a message to those members who aren't with us anymore. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you. All right, just a few closing comments. We commonly say for you to go home, and we really mean it when we're done here. There's no reason for you to be here. I'd much rather you be with your families this evening. And then tonight we heard some very significant passion from a colleague. And it is our intent to continue to move forward in whatever adjustments are necessary. Clearly, with Director Rice's comments, there will be an opportunity for one of my colleagues, if they so choose, to serve in this ad hoc committee on our issues related to workers' comp. This group, this directors group, and others will be gathering in a couple of weeks where we will have a short agenda, and we will start down the road of what we're basically calling workers' comp 101 or 101. So we get a better handle on all of the different issues that workers' comp and related issues, how they impact our organization and where we can do better and find gaps and clean some of that up. So if you have a desire to do that, would you please reach out to our chair of that committee, Director Weber, and just have comments with him to find out more. So again, we can have directors in that room during those conversations. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, continue to be excellent citizens. It means so much to us when you continue to do everything you do day to day. It makes it very enjoyable to then go out in the community and brag on you. Just how blessed we are to have an organization of our size with the collective humanity that's here. I'm just so proud of every single one of you. And with that, I'd be more proud if you'd go home. This meeting stands adjourned. We're back in open session. Our attorney, John Lauber, will report out on items in closed session.
Thank you, Director and President Gould. First of all, sorry I couldn't be there. I was in a meeting till about 5 o'clock in Fresno, so I was not able to make it back. But in any event, the board met in closed session. This is the report out. On item number 1, the industrial disability retirement matter related to Holly Wagner and the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District. The board met in closed session. No reportable action was taken. That matter will be set for vote in open session. Item number 2, conference with labor negotiators. The board met in closed session with its designated labor negotiators and representatives concerning the employer-employee relations resolution for recognized employee organizations, and no reportable action was taken. Thank you.
Gentlemen, we'll move back to action item number 1, industrial disability retirement engineer Holly Wagner. I'll entertain a motion to adopt. Okay, we got a first and a second, but I'm not sure who. Who was it? I think Director Clark.
Clark. And then Director Rice, a second. Perfect.
All right, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Weber,
Aye.
Director Sheets.
Aye.
President Gould,
Aye.
Director Wood.
Aye.
Director Rice.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Costa.
Aye.
Director Clark.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, folks, no additional information or actions will be taken this evening. This meeting now stands adjourned. Our next meeting will be April 11th, 2024.